Oh, you do not usually ruin your future with one dramatic mistake. It rarely arrives as disaster. It arrives as improvement. A better apartment with better light. A better car with quieter doors. A wardrobe that fits more cleanly. Dinners that feel more elevated. A routine that finally begins to resemble the life you imagined successful people were supposed to have. That is why the trap is so difficult to detect. It does not feel like decline. It feels like reward. It feels like progress with polish. But the lifestyle upgrade that weakens your future is rarely the one that looks reckless. It is the one that looks refined enough to escape suspicion. This is the danger nobody explains properly. Certain upgrades do not simply change how you live. They change what your life now requires in order to remain stable. They raise the minimum cost of feeling normal. They increase the amount of income, emotional consistency, and external cooperation needed just to keep the atmosphere intact. And once that minimum rises high enough, your future becomes more fragile than your present used to be. What looked like elevation quietly becomes obligation. What looked like success becomes maintenance. What looked like comfort becomes dependency with better taste. You can see it clearly when you step back. Before the upgrade, your life may have been imperfect, but it had room. Room to pause. Room to recover. Room to absorb a slower month without panic. Room to make a strategic move instead of a desperate one. After the upgrade, the room narrows. The calendar becomes tighter. The bills become more elegant but heavier. The environment becomes more beautiful but less forgiving. You begin to realize that what you improved on the surface may have weakened your ability to survive disruption underneath. And that is the reversal. The scenery rises while your margin quietly disappears. The most seductive upgrades are the ones that improve your image and your sensory experience at the same time. A more prestigious address changes how others read you. Better interiors change how you read yourself. The luxury gym, the premium neighborhood, the quieter car, the effortless table service, the glass, stone, linen, scent, lighting, all of it begins to whisper the same message. You are doing well now. You have moved up. You belong here. And when an environment keeps confirming your progress back to you, it becomes psychologically difficult to question whether it is weakening your future. Because the upgrade is no longer just practical. It has become emotional architecture. That emotional architecture matters more than people admit. You are not only paying for the object, the lease, or the space. You are paying for the identity it helps stabilize. You are paying for the relief of seeing yourself reflected inside a life that appears more complete. That is why certain lifestyle upgrades feel almost impossible to reverse, even when they become strategically foolish. To let them go would not feel like adjusting expenses. It would feel like stepping backward in status, self-image, and narrative. And once a financial choice becomes fused to self-worth, objectivity disappears. You stop evaluating the upgrade by what it costs your future and start protecting it because it flatters your present. This is where elegant danger begins. Not in chaos, in polish. Because polished lives are harder to criticize even internally. A person living beyond their structural strength in vulgar ways is easy to notice. But a person doing it with sophistication can appear responsible, composed, even admirable. The apartment is not absurd, just elevated. The spending is not wild, just premium. The schedule is not empty, just full of high-quality obligations. Everything sounds reasonable when explained one choice at a time. But pressure does not care how tasteful your justification was. Pressure reveals whether the life is actually built to hold. The lifestyle upgrade that weakens your future usually has one defining feature. It increases fixed expectations faster than it increases durable power. Durable power means reserves, ownership, leverage, optionality, low burn, and the ability to stay coherent when conditions change. If the upgrade improves none of those but still raises your monthly needs, social standards, and psychological dependency on continuity, then it is not strengthening your position. It is narrowing it. You may feel elevated, but you are becoming easier to pressure, easier to rush, easier to manipulate through comfort, easier to keep obedient through the fear of losing the polished version of your life. That fear is rarely loud. It is subtle. It lives in the body before it announces itself in language. You notice it when an unexpected expense feels personally offensive. When one delayed payment disturbs your sleep more than it should. When you begin tolerating deals, clients, roles, or environments you would have rejected in a leaner phase of life. When slowing down stops feeling strategic and starts feeling dangerous. When every choice is quietly filtered through one invisible question. Can my current lifestyle survive this? The moment that question becomes too dominant, the upgrade has already started to own you. Many people think the answer is simply to earn more. But that is often how the trap deepens. Higher income can absolutely help, but only if it strengthens your structure faster than it inflates your expectations. Otherwise, more income just feeds a more expensive system. It does not create safety. It creates a larger machine that must keep running. That is why two people with similar earnings can live in completely different realities. One has a life designed to preserve margin. The other has a life designed to preserve image. One uses income to expand freedom. The other uses income to maintain scenery. From a distance, the second life often looks better. Under pressure, it collapses faster. One of the clearest signs that a lifestyle upgrade is weakening your future is that your sense of success becomes more visible while your sense of control becomes less felt. People may admire the life more, but you trust it less. You may look more established but feel more exposed. You may have better surfaces, better settings, better rituals, but internally your options begin to shrink. And options are everything. The future belongs less to those with the most impressive present and more to those with the greatest ability to reposition without breaking. A beautiful life with no repositioning power is just a fragile performance with premium textures. Real financial maturity asks a harsher question than most people want to hear. Does this upgrade strengthen my future or just make the present feel more complete? Those are not the same thing. Some upgrades genuinely do strengthen the future. A better tool that saves hours. A move that improves access to opportunity. A calmer environment that sharpens judgment. Better health infrastructure. Better systems. Better networks. Better conditions for high-value work. Those can be intelligent. But many upgrades do none of that. They simply improve the emotional aesthetics of success. They make you feel established while quietly making you more dependent on staying exactly where you are. The reason this matters so much is because the future is rarely kind to rigid lives. Markets change. Health changes. Motivation changes. Industries cool. Relationships end. Energies shift. If your upgrade increased your need for perfect continuity, then it weakened your adaptability. And adaptability is one of the deepest forms of wealth. To adapt without humiliation. To absorb a hit without becoming desperate. To adjust your pace without collapsing your identity. To walk away from bad terms because your life is not too expensive to protect your dignity. These things do not feel glamorous while you are building them, but they are what separate impressive lives from powerful ones. A powerful life is not necessarily smaller. It is simply better supported. That is the distinction. The issue is not luxury itself. The issue is unsupported luxury. The issue is when the visible layer outruns the invisible one. When the apartment improves before the reserves do. When the wardrobe sharpens before the debt softens. When the dinners rise before optionality does. When your lifestyle becomes more premium but your future becomes less flexible. That sequence is backwards. And backward sequences create elegant weakness. They produce people who look elevated right up until the moment circumstances ask for proof. The strongest response is not asceticism. It is sequencing. Structure first. Then refinement. Margin first. Then maintenance. Optionality first. Then atmosphere. This is what financially mature people understand that aspirational culture often ignores. You can enjoy a beautiful life more cleanly when it rests on systems that can hold it. A trip feels better when it is not secretly borrowed from your future stability. A home feels better when it does not threaten your freedom. A luxury routine feels lighter when it is not the thing standing between you and panic. Beauty is more elegant when it is optional. It becomes dangerous when it is required for psychological equilibrium. That is also why certain people seem less flashy even as they become more powerful. They are not less capable of spending. They are simply more strategic about what spending does to their future range. They understand that every recurring upgrade has a carrying cost beyond money. It has emotional cost, decision cost, identity cost, and strategic cost. It can make you more rigid, more approval dependent, more eager to preserve appearances, more vulnerable to circumstances that should not have that much authority over you. So they ask different questions. Not only, can I afford this? But what does this require me to keep being? And what future does this make harder to survive with grace? Grace under pressure is an underrated financial metric. It tells you whether your life is actually yours. If one slower quarter changes your entire personality, then your lifestyle may be too aggressive for your structure. If one disruption makes you compromise your standards, your upgrade may be overbuilt relative to your resilience. If one setback makes your environment feel like an accusation instead of a support, then what you called success may have been tension wearing beautiful clothes. A future-proof life does not eliminate discomfort, but it prevents discomfort from owning your character. So how do you know whether an upgrade is healthy? Watch what it does to your breathing room. A healthy upgrade preserves or improves your ability to think, choose, pause, and redirect. A weakening upgrade reduces all four. A healthy upgrade makes you less reactive. A weakening upgrade increases sensitivity to interruption. A healthy upgrade expands capability. A weakening upgrade expands obligation. A healthy upgrade feels cleaner over time. A weakening upgrade feels heavier even if you never admit it out loud. The body often knows before the spreadsheet does. This is why the smartest move after an income increase is often invisible. Not a visible reward. Not an aesthetic leap. A structural correction. More reserves. Better asset positioning. Lower unnecessary burn. More ownership. Better tools. Cleaner systems. Lower dependency. Higher optionality. These moves do not impress strangers immediately, but they make the next 10 years less fragile. And fragility is expensive in ways lifestyle culture never fully accounts for. It costs courage. It costs selectiveness. It costs clarity. It costs the ability to say no without fear. A future weakened by upgrades is usually not destroyed by spending alone. It is destroyed by what that spending steals from your range. In the end, the lifestyle upgrade that weakens your future is not defined by price. It is defined by sequence and consequence. It is any improvement that raises your need for stability faster than it raises your actual strength. Any upgrade that makes you look more complete while becoming easier to pressure. Any refinement that flatters the present but narrows the future. That is why the most sophisticated thing you can do is not simply upgrade well. It is upgrade in the right order. Build the invisible layer until the visible layer becomes light to carry. So the next time your life begins to improve, do not ask only what would look better. Ask what would hold better. Ask what future version of you will need in order to remain calm, coherent, and difficult to corner. Ask whether this next upgrade will expand your freedom or train you into a more elegant form of dependence. Because once you learn to see clearly, you stop chasing every polished improvement that promises arrival. You start building a life that can remain beautiful without becoming brittle. And that is when success stops weakening your future and finally begins to protect it. Don't just upgrade your lifestyle. Upgrade your position. If this video changed the way you think about success, subscribe for more on real wealth, true status, and silent power.